I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Of course you didn't, Mr. Clinton. So everybody, welcome back to the Believingbruce channel, the body language guy. Anything to do with body language, performance psychology, mental health or well-being, anything to do with the head and heart, if you're interested, then this is the channel for you. So I've had loads of messages since I've started this about, can we look back at some historic interviews where people have maybe not telling the truth fully, where there's been a few porky pies coming through. And on a number of occasions it has been this particular one. The President, Mr. Clinton, and his on-off did-he, didn't-he relationship with none other than Monica Lewinsky. And I'm going to use this because what we've got here is a really good chance to learn, just to show some, body behaviours off, if you will, like the body language that's coming from Bill Clinton, so that you can apply these to your life or other situations. But there are some really good, and again it happens again and again and again, some clusters, some behavioural trends that he gives off that I think we can all learn from. And again, it doesn't matter that it's historic, it doesn't matter that it's in the past, because again, he would have given this interview and the same signs would have been there when it was first done, as opposed to when we're looking back now, reflecting on it, because obviously most of us know that he wasn't quite being truthful. But remember, the purpose of what I'm trying to do here, alright, on the Believingbruce channel, is yes, it's entertaining and yes, it's fun. But it's not all about just finding out if somebody's lying or not, because if we can create that psychological safety between each other, that we're allowed to tell the truth, that we can help somebody explore what's going on inside their head and their heart, just because they say something that may be not quite accurate doesn't mean they're lying. But the whole idea of you noticing what's going on with other people around you, or even yourself, is that you can pick up on these signs, other people can pick up on these signs, to help explore more truthful narrative, to help us to become aware maybe of what's going on in our subconscious, so we can have more truthful, safe and transparent conversations. And that's brilliant for mental health and well-being. Remember, if you are interested in body language, anything to do with the head and heart, performance psychology, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button now. Give me a thumbs up, but also leave your comments below. Alright then, so let's share some learning.
Mr. President, welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
The news of this day is that Kenneth Starr, the independent counsel, is investigating allegations that you suborned perjury by encouraging a 24-year-old woman, former White House intern, to lie under oath in a civil deposition about her having had an affair with you. Mr. President, is that true?
That is not true. That is not true. I did not ask anyone to tell anything other than the truth. There is no improper relationship, and I intend to cooperate with this inquiry. But that is not true.
No improper relationship. Define what you mean by that.
Well, I think you know what it means. It means that that there is not a sexual relationship, an improper sexual relationship, or any other kind of improper relationship.
You had no sexual relationship with this young woman.
There is not a sexual relationship. That is accurate. We are doing our best to cooperate here, but we don't know much yet. And that's all I can say now. What I'm trying to do is to contain my natural impulses and get back to work. I think it's important that we cooperate. I will cooperate, but I want to focus on the work at hand.
Just for the record, to make sure I understand what your answer means, so there's no ambiguity about it.
There is no.
All right. You had no conversations with this young woman, Monica Lewinsky, about her testimony, possible testimony, before in giving a deposition?
I did not urge anyone to say anything that was untrue. I did not urge anyone to say anything was untrue. That's my statement to you.
Did you talk to her about it?
Beyond that, I think it's very important that we let the investigation take its course. But I want you to know that that is my clear position. I didn't ask anyone to go in there and say something that's not true.
What about you're having added, another one of the allegations is that that you may have asked, or the allegation that's been investigated is that you asked your friend, Vernon Jordan,
to do that. I absolutely did not do that. I can tell you, I did not do that. I did not do that. He is in no ways involved in trying to get anybody to say anything that's not true at my request. I didn't do that. Now, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't even know. All I know is what I have read here. But I'm going to cooperate. I didn't ask anybody not to tell the truth. There is no improper relationship. The allegations I have read are not true. I do not know what the basis of them is other than just what you know. We'll just have to wait and see. And I will be vigorous about it. But I have got to get back to the work of the country. I was up past midnight with Prime Minister Netanyahu last night. I've got Mr. Arafat coming in. We've got action all over the world and a State of the Union to do. I'll do my best to cooperate with this, just as I have through every other issue that's come up over the last several years. But I have got to get back to work.
Would you acknowledge, though, Mr. President, this is very serious business, this charge against you that's been made?
And I will cooperate in the inquiry of it.
What's going on? If it's not true, that means somebody made this up. Is that?
Look, you know as much about this as I do right now. We'll just have to look into it and cooperate, and we'll see. But meanwhile, I've got to go on with the work of the country. I got hired to help the rest of the American people.
I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I come across here. And remember what we're looking here, right? We've got an emotional baseline. Any given person in any given situation has an emotional baseline. So if there's anything above or below that emotional baseline, that behavioural baseline, what do they do normally? Are they doing more of it? Are they doing less of it? We're going to pick that up. That's when we're going to look that little bit deeper. Again, if you've watched the video, you'll see that Bill Clinton does blink, singular blinks, quite regularly. That seems to be his emotional baseline. Okay, I don't know if you noticed that or not. But what you'll see here right at the start is there is a cluster. Two rapid ones followed by one. Alright, so what we've got here is what you call a behavioural cluster. That rapid succession of blinking is called eye blocking.
The news of this day. The news of this day.
Now again, it's an assumption on my part, but I would be assuming here that, a bit like Prince Andrew, and that was a car crash of an interview by Prince Andrew. And you know, why didn't Prince Andrew learn from Bill Clinton is the question that I've got. Yeah, but what we've got here is that those rapid blinks, which is eye block, and he's trying to put out something out of it right at the beginning of the interview. He hasn't even been asked any questions yet. But here we've got that rapid blinking, which is above his normal behaviour and baseline, which to me indicates, at least to dig that little bit deeper, that he's trying to block out some images, maybes. What the hippocampus, the part of the brain that stores the memories, is he detecting a threat already? But again, I'll just show you these three eye blocks.
Thank you, Jim.
The news of this day. The news of this day. The news of this day.
Now the second one here, you'll see the hands are together. Yeah, the hands are together. If you look at the legs are the key to someone's souls. You'll see that the legs are crossed. And quite unusually here, there's no mirroring of each other's body language, is what you tend to find when humans come together. Yeah, body mirroring. And you'll see that the reporters, obviously he's got his clipboard or whatever it is, the host with the questions on, and he's leaning forward but his legs are open. You see Bill Clinton has got his hands crossed, yeah, and his legs crossed as well. So he's already adopting a defensive type position, which again in the context, you'd be expecting of him. And remember what we're looking for here is congruence. What is the verbalization? What words are being offered at that particular time? And is the body language, the body behaviors, is it tying up? And what we see here is he says no, but there's a nod of the head. In fact, the first one's a bit of a, I don't know what I'm doing here, but then there's a definitive nod.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true.
Yeah, and he's saying no. All right, that doesn't go together. It simply doesn't go together. But what's even more, what affirms it even more, is then he keeps speaking and then he says no and he shakes his head with it.
That is not true. That is not true. I did not ask anyone to tell anything other than the truth. Did not ask anyone to tell anything other than the truth.
So what you've got across here is a no with a nod of the head, and then what you've got across here is a no with the shake of the head. Again, that is a warning sign, that is a KPI, that's on the radar screen that something's going on at that particular moment. And that can come due to an adrenaline spike. It's a bit like, I don't know, if you've been lying in the bath, and I've given this example a number of times, and your partner has discovered a text on your phone, and your partner barges in on you when you're lying in the bath, and you've moved from your safe comfort zone into what's this, and the threat is directly in front of you. You get that adrenaline spike, you get that fight or flight. But then he starts to calm down, which is where you get the pattern. He's actually controlled that adrenaline spike and he starts to get into his groove. But by that time it was already late. Believingbruce is already onto you. Again, you've got some other eye blocking going on here. So remember, Bill Clinton does now and again blink. That's his emotional baseline. That's normal for him, but what you see here is a few blinks. That's above his normal behavioural baseline.
But that is not true. But that is not true.
What images is he trying to blank out? Because that is what, again, biology doesn't lie. This is not my opinion, people. All right, when you do some eye blocking, when there's that flurry of what you're trying to do is block out the images that your hippocampus, that memory center, is bringing back to your conscious level. And again, we're looking at the cadence and the verbalization here. So he's asked a question about has there been, so there's no, or that there's been no sexual relationship. And you'll see what he does is he actually answers a question that hasn't been asked, or he slightly drifts off. And the way that he states it is there is no, as in now. What the reporter was asking him was about the past. So he actually answers about now, but there's also an eye block. Let's just have a look at this.
You had no sexual relationship with this young woman.
There is not a sexual relationship. That is accurate.
This young woman.
There is not a sexual relationship. That is accurate.
Again, so the fact that he's answered a question that hasn't been asked, yeah, so he's not answered it directly. Typical politician. Why did we stand for this? But then you got the eye blocking as well. There's your behavioural cluster. Again, people, biology doesn't lie. And again, here, remember, what we see is our body lining up. And you'll see in this little clip, he says that we will cooperate, and what you get.
We are doing our best to cooperate here, but we are doing our best to cooperate here, but we are doing our best to cooperate here, but
Now remember, I talked about that initial adrenaline spike. But then we can start talking about truthful stuff, and again, we start to calm down, and then our adrenaline can be spiked again. But what you see here is his hands went from that linked position to a thing called steepling. Now, steepling, for the body language experts among you, steepling is a position of power. It's deemed as one of the most authoritarian, I'm in control positions of hand gestures. But I want you to look at the legs. The legs are still crossed. The legs are the key when you're looking at somebody's body language. The top half can be doing what it wants. And again, obviously you can get some clues from the top half. You get a lot of clues from the top half. But it's the legs, and you see the legs, they're still crossed, they're still in that defensive position. And what you see here right at the end of it, and I don't know if you noticed, again, tell me below if you did, but you'll see his leg moves, which is we need to be clear, whatever it is. It's like, no, there's no ambiguity. You'll see that leg kick out. Now, what's happening here is that this is where this bad boy comes in. And again, if you watch some of my videos before, you'll have heard me explain this process, but for those of you that, and again, it's good to get a reminder anyways. But when we detect a threat, our thalamus is the junction, if you will, that we bring in sensory data. Our thalamus sends it to two places, either the amygdala or the cortex. The cortex is for rational, logical thinking. The amygdala is for fight or flight. If the amygdala detects a threat, that will take over the cortex. That's why we become irrational, we become emotional, we become illogic. We are but humans. So what that amygdala then does is it sends a message, to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the hormone regulation center. The hypothalamus starts talking, and starts producing certain hormones. It'll talk to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland then sends a message to the adrenal glands, and boom, we've got that adrenaline. Where do we see it? We often see it in the legs. That's when you're nervous, your legs will bounce up and down. The thighs are really affected by adrenaline. And what do you see here? How do I know he's had an adrenaline spike? Boom, the leg's gone. The legs are so key in understanding what somebody's thinking, somebody's feeling. So if I was if I was the interviewer, if I was the host, and I noticed that leg kicking out, Believingbruce, brothers and sisters, Believingbruce would be on it, because biology doesn't lie. You just got to be observant of what's going on. And again, when I talk about fighters and press conferences and stuff, if I was, if my opponent was talking to me and I started noticing these things, I started noticing when my opponent was uncomfortable, boom, I would be on that like a dog with a bone. Now, what's really interesting here is the host specifically asks, have you not spoken to Monica Lewinsky? And you'll see what Bill Clinton does here is he adopts a bit of what's called a tortoise effect, the turtle effect. As in, he leans forward, his head goes down and his shoulders come up. Please, sir, can I have some more? It's that, oh, please be nice to me. But what's also, remember, we're talking about a behavioural cluster here, is that you'll see as he does this, his lips come together. Just like eye blocking is trying to block out a certain image within your head. that lip compression, he wants to say something, but he's stopping himself from saying it. Again, biology doesn't lie. You've got a solid cluster here. The tortoise effect moving forward, the shoulders coming up, the head coming down, and that lip compression. Bang, and beyond that.
I had no conversations with this young woman, Monica Lewinsky, about Monica Lewinsky.
But then you'll hear what he actually, and again, he answers a question that hasn't been asked. So the reporter asks, it says, have you had any contact with Monica Lewinsky? And what Bill Clinton answers, after he's done the tortoise effect, after he's done the lip compression, is that I did not urge anyone to tell a lie. Well, actually, Bill, that wasn't what was asked. Have you not previously spoken to Monica Lewinsky about this? I did not urge anybody to lie. All right, brilliant. But answer the question, Bill.
In giving a deposition.
I did not urge anyone to say anything that was untrue.
Why is he not answering the question? Why is he giving a different answer? Whooshed. Whoosh, I'm even bringing sound effects in now for free. Enjoy it. And a quick one, if you do enjoy body language, if you do enjoy learning about performance psychology, please help me support this channel by subscribing below. I would massively appreciate it. And then what he does is called a blocker. I'm putting a blocker up here, a verbal blocker, because he knows where the reporter is going. But what he says is like, look, we should leave this up to the investigation.
Very important that we let the investigation take its course.
Now this part, remember the body language, any change in body language, which is what we're looking for. You'll see here when it comes to the two, so where you've got the reporter and then Bill Clinton as well, his legs have now come fully up. One leg is not just crossed at the bottom, but it's on top of his thigh, forming that defensive shield, that frontal ventrum. Now we're starting to get some protection here. He's definitely feeling the threat. And his arms have also come up as well, and he's went from that steepling position where he feels in control because he was allowed to answer questions that he was comfortable with, into that linked position here, which is a sure sign of insecurity. His body's changed where his legs come up to protect his front, his arms have now come up to protect his front, and his fingers are interlinked. Bill is feeling the pressure. Now, up until this point here, he's been asking questions, or he's been asked questions and he's given answer. And there never seems to be too much emotion. But then he's asked one question about, did your friend, some Andrew Jordan, somebody Jordan, did you get him to ask or to try to interfere with Monica Lewinsky? And I want you to note the difference in energy, and it's absolutely not. He nearly stands up and comes off his seat. Now that is way above his normal emotional baseline.
Is that you asked your friend, Vernon Jordan,
To do that. I absolutely did not do that. I can tell you, I did not do that. I did not do that.
That he's presented for the whole of this interview so far. So I do believe there's some truth here because of how energetic he comes in. You actually see him sit up as well. He's like showing you, I don't feel any fear. He's exposing his front now, whereas just 2 seconds ago he was like this. He's been asked a question which I actually believe in, and there might be something there, but I've had to give a scale of probability. I'd say I do believe him on this. But look at the difference in how he's answered all the questions so far to this particular part here.
Absolutely did not do that. I can tell you, I did not do that.
Why hasn't he always answered the questions like that? With that vigour, with that energy, with that self-belief? And then again, he almost sums up by, he's using a sales technique here. This is what it is, a sales technique. There was no improper conduct. I did not ask anybody to lie on my behalf. And the allegations I have read are not true. So he's not giving specific answers. He's not summing up with answers to questions that has been asked. But what he's trying to do is that when you're selling to somebody, if you can get somebody to say yes, 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 they're more likely to buy. So what he's doing is saying, this isn't true, that's not true, that's not true. He's trying to use a psychological technique on the host, on the reporter. So the reporter says, all right, actually, he sounds like a credible individual. But not to Believingbruce. I've been around this game too long, Bill, my son.
I didn't ask anybody not to tell the truth. There is no improper relationship. The allegations I have read are not true.
And what you see here is an empathic reach out. It's Bill trying to pull on the heartstrings, where he starts bringing up his role as president. I've got to get back on with the work of the people. I've been elected by the people to represent the people. This is important, but I've got to get back to the work. I've got to get back to the work of the people.
And I will be vigorous about it, but I have got to get back to the work of the country. I was up past midnight with Prime Minister Netanyahu last night. I've got Mr. Arafat coming in.
So again, he tries to use this, No different to someone trying to persuade their parents, well, I want to borrow chocolate. Oh, but I'm hungry. I haven't had no tea. Feel sorry for me. This is exactly the same as what Bill Clinton's doing. Yeah, and he mentions it, and not just this interview. If you look at other interviews, especially in the build-up here, he'll use that time and time again. I've got to get back to the work. I've got to get back to the work of the people. And again, you'll see here the final shake of the head with what he's saying.
I'll do my best to cooperate with this, Jess. I'll do my best to cooperate with this, Jess. I'll do my best to cooperate with this, Jess.
So, putting all that together, again, we know what's come from this case here. It's historical, but from a body language learning perspective, when you watched that first video up front, did you see it? Did you see the stuff that I was pointing out? Remember, it's that exact moment, what's going on. What they're saying, what is the body doing? 2 seconds before, 2 seconds after. That energy level's going up, those blinks, those cluster of blinks, which was above his emotional baseline, that thigh kicking out because the adrenaline dump, due to what's going on inside the brain, due to the fight, flight or freeze response. And again, the whole purpose of this is that you can be more in tune with what you're doing. You know, if you notice yourself doing something, okay, well, what am I holding back? Why am I holding something back? If I hold something back, is it going to be helpful for me? I being the best version of myself. But also you can notice in the people, and yes, you can obviously dig people out and you can see maybe if they're lying or not, or at least zone in on that particular point. But remember, body language is a beautiful tool for helping people to connect in a more transparent and authentic way, which is brilliant for societies, both mental health and from a well-being perspective as well. If you've got any ideas, any suggestions about what you'd like me to look at, please comment below or contact me on Instagram or Twitter. This week here, really excited for the Wilder Fury press conference. I'll be doing some body language analysis on that. And really, when you've got Fury, generally one of the things, the only thing that Fury is consistent with is being inconsistent. That makes it really entertaining but educational from a body language perspective. So please remember to subscribe below, give us a thumbs up and leave your comments. But more importantly, believe in Bruce. Be kind to yourselves and each other.